viewers anymore. Okay. Really can't get an accurate, judge until we get to the weekdays. But what do you guys think is gonna happen? What do you guys think will happen? Do you really think the system's gonna let someone like me have the biggest platform it can shit all over the system? No. If I was if I was sitting here telling you guys, the UFOs, oh my gosh, the UFOs, the UFOs, the UFOs, the UFOs, everybody'd be, they'd be okay with it. And I'd be allowed to have this big fun channel. And everything would be good. But it's nonsense, as Vivica just said. You have to take everything for what it is. And the reality is, if I wasn't really good at what I do, no one would care one way or another. I wouldn't get crazy numbers higher than people with many more subscribers. I wouldn't, maintain huge view counts for long periods of time. I mean, it's just, nobody would care if I wasn't doing what I was doing well. And on the other side of that, the system wouldn't care either. Why would anyone shut down someone who's just distracting people nonsense? They look. Of course they're going to shut those people that are telling the truth down, that preach unity, that expose the Jays for the piece of shits they are. To tell people it's okay, don't be scared. Like, I encourage you, call me all the names you want. If you're racist, I'd love to know about it. I'd love to talk to you about it. Like, I don't think anybody should hide who they are. But you shouldn't hide who you are from yourself either. Like, you should be honest and then try to figure it out. Like, why are you that way? Why do you hate people of color? Why do you hate gays? Why do you hate women? What happens? Why is it designed that way? Karen, what's up? You get. Not even playing with you. I think it's strange because it's like they already know that the narrative they use creates the division. They know that forcing us to pretend that women's sports are just as good as men's sports, or else you're a bad person. Like, they know that's going to cause problems. They insult us. It's insulting to think that way. We watched a game of women's basketball the other day. And the one thing I noticed that it dawned on me after a little bit. I kept trying to figure out what's going on. Like, why is this not seemingly the presentation? What's wrong with this presentation? And it's that they don't show the replays. When you're watching the NBA, everything they do, they show the replay. If the guy fucks up, they show the replay. If he makes a good, every time the whistle blows, they show what just happened. With the women's game, not only does the whistle blow almost every time they go up and down the court, they'll just keep showing like old shit or nothing. They don't show any replays because it's all just terrible. You know, what are they going to show the replay of the girl missing the shot, air ball, brick, air ball. Every single time they go down the court, at least one of them ends up on the floor. I mean, it's like it's silly. It's just silly. And it's insulting to me.
It's insulting as a woman.
That's what I would think.
I mean, I'm watching it going, okay, you girls are good. You
I don't have a problem with you guys playing it.
But, like, why are you on my television? Why do I have to be guilted into thinking that I have to care? Because that's what they're doing to women. They guilt us into giving a shit.
And then they guilt men into, you're not allowed to say it's shit. I'm supposed to pretend like it's just as entertaining. It's entertaining for me to watch women go like half speed up and down the court and either brick long distance shots or hit layups.
Maybe if it was my daughter.
Right.
But I wouldn't subject. I would invite strangers to my kids' Little League game.
I would invite people to watch because it's funny. I wouldn't invite them to come watch like okay. I mean, if I had boys, if my boys are on a Little League team and they're really good and you can see how, hey, this kid has a lot of potential. He might be able to go. Like there's a girl that goes to my kid's school and she's really, really great at baseball.
Like compared to the boys.
Right.
Very, very good. For now.
For now. Right. She's 11 or 12, whatever. And she's bigger than a lot of the boys and whatnot. But
she throws harder than them.
Right. But these are, these aren't the boys that have changed yet.
Right.
And once they change, and once she changes, because she's going to change. And she looks like she has genes that she could be bigger. I don't know. It's like, I think a great example. I think McEnroe said it really well, but the problem that we don't.
I mean, have we heard anything from him since?
Yeah, we just don't. We're not in that circle, so we don't hear about this shit. But he's all over. McEnroe's super famous and does all kinds of shit. He didn't get blacklisted. He's not Ricky Gervais. But he did, of course not. Remember, it cut to black for a second, and then they came back, and McEnroe played along.
Yeah.
So he didn't get in trouble. I mean,
but he's not known for keeping his mouth shut.
If I told you that they had a world-class athlete on the interview, that they attacked him, and then when he was making his point, they cut to black real quick on live TV. It was live, supposedly. And when they came back, they acted like nothing happened, and they just asked him a question who the best were, and he said he named off 4 dudes, and then he made Serena number 5. He said, I'll make Serena number 5. Does that make you happy? And all the females were like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it's if I told you that happened, you would say, nah, that didn't happen. You're exaggerating. How could they cut to black on a live broadcast? Exactly. How the fuck does that happen?
They were mad at him.
But he said it. He said, we'll just fix it all. Real simply. Instead of having men and women's sports, let's just have sports. And if the women can compete, then they get to be professionals. I guarantee no woman's going to be out there pushing for that shit. The men don't care. You know, especially on the professional levels. The professional level men don't care because they know no woman would ever make it. I don't know if this rumor is true, so I guess I can't. Can I use your phone for a second? Um, Caitlin Clark, Big Three. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, Caitlin Clark was offered a large contract to play in the Big Three, a men's basketball league owned by rapper Ice Cube, but she turned it down. In March 2024, the Big Three offered Caitlin Clark a 2-year contract worth $10 million with the possibility of more. The offer also included the possibility of a percentage of the team ownership and merchandise sales. Do you know how much money that woman could have made? Holy shit, I didn't realize it was that big. Clark was surprised by the offer and expressed her focus on winning a national championship with Iowa. Are you serious? She also said that her top priority was playing basketball with her team at the Final Four. Ice Cube's response, Ice Cube said that the talks didn't get far and that the Big Three didn't get much engagement from the offer. He also said he believed Clark was focused on the WNBA. So wait. Contract.
Now, does she have some sort of like ownership interest in the WNBA as a league?
She signed a 4-year contract with the Indiana Fever for $338,000 with a base salary of just over $76,500 in 2024 when she was chosen as the #1 overall pick, sparking outrage at the low number. So, like, let's just break that down from an equality standpoint.
Yeah, but we don't know. There was something behind the scenes that was really ugly for her.
No. She knows it's a fraud. She's a fraud. If she would have went and played in a Big Three, she would have been playing against ex-NBA players and guys who can't make the league, but they're still phenomenal, right? She knows she would have gotten destroyed. And the whole women's NBA basketball, women are just as good as men, lobby groups and all that shit behind the scenes. They got a hold of her and were like, no, you're not allowed to do that. 2 years, $10 million, and ownership interest and merchandise sales. I mean, she could have been, $100 million. And I mean, the Caitlin Clark jerseys and shit like that, they're one of the #1 selling jerseys in the world right now. She was getting a percentage. She's not getting any money on that. She gets zero money out of that shit. You're telling me I'm supposed to believe women are equal when this broad turns down what anyone in their right fucking mind would do to make a lot less money playing against inferior competition?
Where you could be the superstar and have longevity?
She could. Well, no. I mean, if she's as good as everyone says, and women are just as good as men, she would have went into the Big Three and proven. She could have went in there, dominated in the Big Three, and then all those women in the WNBA would now have a legitimate gripe that they should be making more money because we can actually compete. We are just as good and just as exciting. All this narrative of anything you can do, I can do better, blah, blah, blah. This was your opportunity to prove it. She's supposed to be like the best. She's supposed to be this little white girl is somehow the best female basketball player of all time. But I mean, from an equality standpoint, I don't care if you're a man, a woman, whatever. If you're offered $10 million over 2 years, ownership interest and merchandise sales over $76,000, and you take the $76,000, that's stupid. I'm not. I from an equality, like we're just talking. You're a smart person. I'm a smart person. Now, once we start getting into all that we are equal, we can do anything, we're just as good as you are shit. Shut up and put your money where your mouth is. Make that money. I mean, she would have been playing against ex-players and shit. She wouldn't even be playing against the cream of the crop in the NBA. But the competition she would have been up against would have been leagues better than what she plays against now. Look at all these dumb comments. I swear to God. Admit that you just can't. If you guys just say, look, we're not smart enough to engage in this conversation, so we're going to say stupid things, I'll be okay with it. But if you're going to sit here and act like you're somehow chosen superior and you can't even follow the conversation, you know, I'm concerned about your well-being. Grow up, fool. I'm doing a feed where I'm talking about how I think and look at things, and you're coming in the comment section to cry and talk smack because you're the grown-up here. Gotcha. That makes sense, doesn't it? As a grown-up, that's what you do, right, Ange?
All the time.
All the time. You go into conversations and talk about things that they're not talking about, insisting that they start talking about your thing, right? That's what grown-ups do.
And then I insult them.
Right.
And tell them to grow up.
Right.
That makes perfect sense.
If you're watching, like, share, sub, do all that good stuff. Tell me what I'm wrong about. I'll pray, blah, blah, blah. Who cares what you'll pray for? If you're not praying that the clergy stops raping children,
save it.
Right. That's the only thing you should be praying for. We'll fix all the other problems after that. Let's just get the clergy to stop raping children. Eh? Sound like a deal? Or are you going to just sort of forget about that part? That's one of those parts where you're like, I don't like that part. And they told me if I talk about it, then I won't go to heaven. I want to go to heaven.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today.
No, dog, it's crack.
First base.
Or I'll let it crack once. No. The phone is not charged, dude. You guys left it unplugged last night, so it's dead.
Dead.
And this charger isn't working. Why isn't this charger working? That's weird. We can plug it in over here and see if it works.
I don't have room.
Oh, you'll have room, right? No, you don't have room.
I don't have room.
Damn. No, this doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't it work on this plug? Blah, 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 blah. Who gives a shit what you think? Like, I just, it's so crazy to me. If you don't like what I do, then go somewhere else. I just don't get it. I don't like what you do, so stop doing it. Like, I just can't imagine. My wife's channel, you got to pay for her OnlyFans.
Yeah. OnlyFans. That's cute.
The Lord, blah, 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 lost cause. Yep, that's what the Lord says. Yeah, oh, church, and obey. Your life will be better with with those lovers. I mean, I can't imagine why anybody would listen to a virgin tell them how to live their lives. Hey, virgin, I'm having trouble with my marriage. Can you give me some advice? Well, my son, this book I read one time says says some really cryptic shit. Why aren't subs real? Look it up. You can figure it out for yourself. Like, share, sub. Don't forget to do that. So, well, maybe we'll get into it if we get enough people here. But I'll start talking about subs if we get past 60 viewers. How's that? I just think about all this shit, and I think about the way that it's all presented to us, and how obviously fucking wrong it all is, and why do people want to believe things the way they do, and everything's just so manufactured and strange. And you just wonder, like, what motivates people? What motivates you to be the person you are? My shit drives me crazy. I wish I wasn't motivated like I am. I wish I could be like the rest of you and just ignore that there's genocide happening right now when women and children are being ritualistically slaughtered. And I just can't, I can't imagine why anybody wants to believe in such ugly, ugly nonsense. And it's both sides, both sides are the same. It's it's strange how all of the narratives we get are basically the same. When you peel it back and you just look at what they're telling you, it's all just the same really stupid nonsense that if they didn't get you to believe it as a child and it become a part of your like the thread of who you are your entire life, they would have a hard time convincing you. That's why people in my shoes have such a hard time trying to even have the conversation with people, because talking about these things brings people back to their childhood, and they come at you with this childlike perception, and it's so hard to convince somebody. Like, you can present them with all the evidence you want while pointing out that they have no evidence to back up what they believe. They just believe it because they're told to. And they still just, look at my feed. Look at how many people supposedly hate me and yet can't actually make me, like, if I hate somebody, I'm going to go on their feed and make them look dumb. If I'm going to go on their feed, like, if I'm going to waste my energy doing that.
I don't get that.
Right.
Got that kind of time on their hands.
Right. That's what you want to do? I'm going to sit here and watch somebody I can't stand, who then also addresses me and calls me out. And instead of, it's so foreign. but it's so typical. I mean, this is Israeli shit. This is you. It has the signature all over it, especially the blacklisting aspect of it. What's up there, TXT? Blah blah blah. Yeah. Yep. We've got Gamer Dude, the submarine expert here. It's all fascinating to me. Fascinating. Who, like she says, who has time for that?
I mean, don't you have Christmas shopping and shit? Families, gatherings, parties.
I mean, when I'm not on here,
Every fucking other person.
when I'm not on here and I'm watching YouTube, I'm like watching things that I like. I don't sit there and watch a bunch of shit I can't stand. The sweetest, simplest pleasure for me is watching, Takedown with Chris Hansen and watching these fucking disgusting pedos get busted. I love it. That's the most negative thing I love. But to me, I'm watching positivity. I'm watching something extremely positive take place. And hopefully this person is so distraught and upset about what they've experienced that they fix it. That's all I ever fucking want. Sure, I'll check it out. We'll see what happens. I don't know, going back to the whole Caitlin Clark thing, going back to the equality thing. Like, if I was a woman, I'd be upset with her. You don't think that's bullshit? You think she did the smart play?
Yeah, for her career, for her longevity, yes.
She could be injured at any point.
I don't care.
At any point, she could be injured. So you think making $76,000 as opposed to
and putting the WNBA on the map and being
again, she would make it would make
recognized for decades to come. Yeah, no, I see why she did it.
If she was as good as she's supposed to be, it would have benefited the WNBA a hell of a lot more.
Okay, and when she gets bounced out of the whatever league that is,
then she
sucks compared to men. Then she's forgotten.
No, she's not. She can still go play in the WNBA.
She'll be the washed up, couldn't make it with
2
the
years?
guys.
No, 2 years.
Lots
of people. No matter what she did, she would be then seen as, well, she gave it the best. Just look at her courage to go out there. That story could have been easily written.
Yeah, that part of that story gets forgotten.
No, it doesn't. Not even close. That's the part that, if she had the courage to go out there and do that, and even if she didn't succeed, but she did reasonably well, if she just surprised people, it would open the door to the WNBA so much more, because people would be like, well, these girls can actually play. She could have broken and she could have made herself rich. At any point, she could come down and blow out her shit, and then she's done. Having that $10 million over 2 years plus ownership. I mean, $10 million is literally like, when you say ownership and percentages of merchandise, we're talking tens of millions of dollars. You think it's smart that she gave up all that money and all of that opportunity to show just how good women really are, to go give it the good old college try for 2 years, and if she doesn't, succeed or no matter what, she could say, I'm only going to do it for 2 years. I don't care what happens. I want to show that I can do it for 2 years, and then I'm going to come back to the WNBA. She could have easily set that precedent. The fact that she decided to go with $76,000, I just, from an equality standpoint, that's as stupid as it gets. If it doesn't matter, like, you know, I'm trying to think of some sort of comparison. If you're offered this is what you do, and we're saying we're going to give you, I mean, how many more percent is $10 million? Oh, $5 million. $5 million because it's 10 million over 2 years. How much more percent is 5 million than 76,000?
I totally get it. I know what you're saying as far as the money goes, but there's got to be more to it, and I think it's more of the nostalgia,
Bullshit.
the recognition, the name, the legacy.
How could it?
For her than anything else?
How could her legacy be any better if she went and competed against the men and did reasonably well, as opposed to competing against the laughing stock that is the WNBA?
I mean, what do you think is reasonably well? You really think she's gonna score a fucking goal? Come on.
I think she's gonna. I think in her. She's known for her three-pointing, her three-point shooting.
So what? The defense, the reach, the
and
size, she won't be able to shoot.
Spud Webb could do it. And she's known for her assists. So she could absolutely be an assist machine in that scenario. But she could, she has boundless energy and whatnot. She could be getting three-pointers. She could be doing all kinds of things. I don't think she's going to be nearly as dominant as if she was in the WNBA, but that's because the WNBA is a joke. So as far as respect goes, I don't look at her like, I think her legacy is absolutely tarnished by that. If she would have went out there and just gave it her best, and maybe she scored 5 points and got 5 assists or whatever,
You're wrong. From the man's fans standpoint, I could see where you're saying that. But from a woman's fans standpoint, no way. It makes a mockery of her. It's exploiting her.
Bullshit. Exploiting her. She's getting paid $10 million and getting ownership and getting jersey. She's getting handsomely rewarded for her effort. And at the end of the day, the claim is you guys are just as good as we are. Especially when you listen to these WNBA brats. The things these women say, it's embarrassing. As a woman, you should be embarrassed by these women.
I am.
So at that point,
maybe she knows that and she's staying in her fucking lane.
That's stupid. If I'm looking at you like you're just as good as the men, and Hey,
listen, I'm not here to prove any points.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God, your big brother's being super annoying. Holy shit! That's crazy.
Was about to die, and then when it died, it restarted.
Okay, so why am I involved in this?
Nick's being a dick the entire time.
Okay, Nick. You know he's right? So wait, Nick. So Nick, hang on a second. So is this just another one of those times when he's saying the same things that I would say, and you're running your mouth probably nonstop, and you're just thinking it's okay that you run your mouth, but the other person is like, can you just stop?
You were being a dick.
Can you just answer my question real quick?
But I'm not doing that. Listen, when we first started, Nate was upset. You like what I did with your controller? No, I gave you the dead one.
Okay, so even if he said that, I'm sure he might have been kidding for the most part, but he didn't. Stop talking, please. He didn't do it. Neither one of you charged the controller, right? So it's not like he zapped your controller. You wouldn't be giving him the controller that worked if you had the opportunity.
And he thinks, well, he's being a dick the entire time we're playing. My time for my
Okay, but I understand. Nick, you already just said that the reason you're being a jerk is because he was a jerk to you, right? How does that even work out?
Yes, My time's restarted.
No, Nathan, your time's not restarting.
My time's paused.
For what? If you guys are both playing together, yeah, the time is paused. The time starts when you guys can do different things. So right now,
Each one of us are games.
Yeah, it's about choosing who plays what game.
okay, well, that part, yeah, whoever picks, if Nathan, if you've been playing the game that you wanted for the last hour, it's time for him to get to pick. What?
We've only been playing for 16 minutes.
Okay, so after the other 44 minutes goes by, then Nick gets to pick the game. What's the problem here? I don't understand.
What about that from now? That just
Being
seems
super
stupid.
annoying.
Okay, so Nick, stop. Nick, if you keep running your mouth, you're done, dude. What?
He said, sure.
I didn't ask you, Gabi. What, Nick? Okay, cool. Thanks, dude.
Have kids, they say.
Oh, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. They make a lot of sense.
Don't push it to your limits. Don't test it beyond testing.
But that's, I mean, it's a good practice for what I deal with here. The stupidity that comes my way. But,
It's very childlike, that's for sure.
when it comes to the whole Caitlin Clark thing, again, from just an equality standpoint, I fall for the hype. She's that good, right? That's what everybody's claiming. She's that good. When I say, okay, so there's two offers that were on the table. One offer is that she makes $76,000 over her first year, signs a $300-something thousand contract over 4 years.
So it's a 4-year contract versus a 2-year. Okay.
Right.
Just kind of want to compare that with you.
She signs the 4-year, $338,000 contract, but that doesn't work out to $76,000 a year. So apparently she's going to get a little bit more money each year. No, I guess that does work out to. No, yeah, it's close to it. I mean, yeah, it's close. So it's 76,500. So I guess that would be around, yeah. Okay, so she's only going to make around $76,000 for the first 4 years. Now she's going to have endorsement deals, which she would have irregardless of whether she went with either thing. She's going to get the shoe contract. She's going to get the Panini and Topps contracts for her cards and, all the other jerseys. She's going to get that kind of shit. But she signs the 4-year contract for $76,000 a year, or she signs a 2-year contract because, again, no other female's even been given that opportunity. Think about what a spit in the face that is, right? Yeah. To all the other females throughout all of history that have said, I could compete with the men, I could compete with the men. This chick is given the opportunity that none of them were given and is getting offered to get paid men money, $10 million over 2 years, along with ownership rights and percentages of jersey sales, which I just cannot stress to you how much fucking money that is. That's the two scenarios that are set forth. If she gets ownership, that's ownership for life. The big three's not going anywhere.
Maybe.
The big three is huge.
I've never heard of it.
That's because you don't fucking follow basketball. The big three is huge. Other than the NBA being mad at it, people love it. But even still, if she has ownership percentages, she could make, I just can't even stress how many millions of dollars she could make off of the ownership and the percentages of the jerseys. That is so much fucking money. And she's supposedly that good. Again, no other woman's ever been given this opportunity. This is not This is not a mockery. This is not a this. This is an opportunity. This is the opportunity. No other woman has ever been given this opportunity to go show that she is just as fucking good as everybody says she is, and she's just as good as the men. And what does she do? Like, from an equality standpoint?
I mean, how do we know that the other players wouldn't agree to play with them?
They don't have a choice. They're contracted. They don't get to fucking do that. That's not how it works. They get sued if they don't play, and they lose all their fucking money. This is the opportunity of a lifetime.
There's gotta be more to it than we're.
You're saying that because you know I'm right, and you don't want me to be.
No, I know she wouldn't compete. I know she'd look like a fucking idiot.
She should have taken the deal, is the point. Especially if she's that good.
I would need more information.
She's supposedly that good. The fact is, she's good enough to be given the opportunity. She broke all the records in college. Like, she broke even the men's records for points and shit like that. She broke all that. She's statistically like one of the best basketball players of all time. So, I mean, let's be realistic here. I can't imagine, like, $76,000 a year, or at the very least $10 million over 2. That is, it's stupid. Exactly.
I said it's stupid money.
Oh, it's stupid. It's stupid not to take that shit.
On the surface, I would agree, but like I said, I'm sure there's more information that we're not privy to that I would need to have before I would totally.
What could justify that decision, other than me saying Illuminati kind of shit, saying that no, this, that, and the other, and pulling strings. Other than that kind of shit, what do you mean stipulations?
I don't know. Were there stipulations to the contract that we don't know about? Like, I don't know. Would she not be allowed to go back to the WNBA?
Why wouldn't she?
I don't know.
Okay, but if she wasn't allowed to go back to the WNBA, then
we're not privy to.
Then we're talking about shenanigans bigger than her, and that would expose something that needs to be talked about.
Oh, and if I guess I just assume those shenanigans exist. Maybe that's where the miscommunicate is, because I already know there's shenanigans.
Well, you know, the fact what an amazingly foolish stipulation that would be. She goes to she goes to the Big 3. The thing is, if she does anything other than not score a single point and just looks like a total girl,
she's gonna look like a total girl.
She's gonna score. She's gonna look good. She's gonna.
I don't know.
I even if she only scores a handful of points and gets a handful of assists, and she averages that over the season, she's gonna look great. She's playing against giant monsters.
Yeah,
so no matter what, yes, she would do women proud no matter what she did, because nobody would expect her to do anything. So the expectation would be so fucking low that she could succeed almost, on accident. And yet, she's going to go play the inferior, in the much, much inferior league for incredibly inferior money. Like, that's... Other contractual obligations, non-declared, I would think would make sense.
Right. Stipulations.
Again,
there's more shit.
All that shit could be worked out. It's still, it doesn't matter.
Deal breakers.
It doesn't matter. One, it would be if Kay Clark went and did well in the Big 3, and her contract was up. And then the WNBA was like, you're not allowed to come play. Do you know how bad that would look on the WNBA? They would just that would crush an already fucking piece of shit league. That would be the most foolish thing they could do. So I don't see that being a viable argument. That just wouldn't make any sense. No matter what she does, whether she scores, I mean, there's going to be a game where she scores 10 points and everybody's going to lose their fucking shit over it. And then there's that possibility that she does go out there and just starts lighting it up. For all we know, that could have been the case. You know, she is playing against a bunch of older players and shit. She could have been lighting it up. She could have done beyond expectations. And then when she goes back to the WNBA, the amount of viewers that she takes with her, I mean, it doesn't make sense any way you slice it. Other than, you know, we're trying to push this narrative that she is that good, and all the insiders know she's not. She's that good playing against other girls. And I mean, it's unintentionally hilarious, right? I don't know if you've ever watched the WNBA. Have you? I mean, so many people talk about women's basketball, talk about Caitlin Clark, this, that, and the other, and then you're like, well, have you ever watched a game? And they're like, no. She'd dominate in the Australian NBL, where third-level college players are big stars. I doubt it. Women would do better against men in the NBA than the NFL. That's not... The NBA is an extremely physical game.
But I totally agree.
It's not what it used to be.
At the same time.
No way. She wouldn't even compete. Listen, there are videos all over the place where
I'm talking about NBA versus
oh yeah, no, women can't play football. No, never. Never. That's fucking stupid. I don't even entertain that.
No, that's dangerous. And,
you know, maybe she could be a kicker, but I don't even think that. Like, because there's that time where she's gonna have to
get crushed.
Right. The kick's gonna get blocked.
Three times her size.
Right. She's gonna get fucking crushed. I don't care how Samoan you may be and huge. Doesn't matter. But there are videos all over the place where like the women's national soccer team takes on a team of high school boys in soccer, and they get dominated. Not the boys, the women, the national team. There's another really famous game where one of the women's national teams takes on a team of retired players, and it was like 21-0 was the final score or some shit like that.
Soccer.
The other goalie barely even stopped any shots because they just couldn't get down there, and they were getting all spun around and like it's embarrassing.
And it's not to be mean.
No, it's reality.
How bodies are built.
Right.
That's it.
It's fucking stupid.
And nothing that can be controlled, trained. You know, it's just straight biology.
And there are some really, really impressive women out there, no doubt.
Yeah.
But even them, like there's in WWE, there's a girl called Jade Cargill. And then there's another girl called Bianca Belair. And these chicks are undoubtedly these amazing athletes. They're really, really strong. You know, they can do pretty incredible things.
For women.
For women. They're you know, they still botch a bunch of shit. It's like, you would think, like, especially in something like wrestling, where it's a performance, right? Where women are supposed to, you know, they're trying to compete with the men. You would think they would be so much more strict about not botching things. But they botch shit all the time. And you just laugh like, that doesn't look, you know, as fake as wrestling looks.
You just made it look more fake.
Women doing it just looks terrible. It's embarrassing. It's fucking terrible. Straightforward biological genetic difference, plain and simple. Yes.
Exactly.
Either that or she sees more accumulation over more time than 10 million over 2 years. Never, if they're
There's
only
gotta
willing.
be something. I agree.
There
There's
is
something.
no, listen,
There's
at
something.
$76,000, you're going to have to play for fucking 20 years to even make, $2 million.
I mean, maybe there's a. If you take this contract, then you have Nike, Reebok, Adidas. If you
She
take
could
this
have-
contract, you get all the no names because the big names have the dudes that are in the league, not the girl.
It's not how it works.
You know, we don't know.
It doesn't matter. When it comes to
Something matters. Her
no,
financial
she could get in a
advisor
car
advised her
accident.
for a reason.
She could bust her leg. She could have a bad fall. She could fucking fizzle out, not be as good. Like she could not. It could not work out. Given the opportunity to make $10 million over 2 years, or basically $150,000 over that same time, plus you get ownership, plus you get fucking jersey sales. From an intelligence, there's no scenario where that works out better. There's nothing. And then again, there's no reason why she wouldn't be allowed to go to the WNBA afterward. Because that would be such a terrible move for the WNBA to not allow that to happen.
Maybe she'd have to pay a bunch of money to get back in the NBA. Who knows?
But why? Any of those negatives that happen, if they were to come out, that would be a terrible black eye on the WNBA. They don't need that shit. That would literally there's no scenario where Caitlin Clark wouldn't benefit the WNBA by going and playing in the Big Three for 2 years. She's not gonna not score anything. She other than again, she's really not that good. And there really is such a tremendous gap between men and women that it would expose what a fraud the WNBA is. That's the only way that makes sense. Sorry, Caitlin, we cannot allow you to go over there and make your generational wealth. $10 million is generational wealth. Ownership is generational wealth. And $10 million is very small. If you guys knew how many jerseys that broad was selling right now, you would shit your pants to know that she was going to get a percentage of that. We're talking about generational wealth that could be achieved over 2 years. For anybody to not want her to take that for any other reason is completely selfish and stupid. That is fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. And anybody that tried to tell her not to, I mean, that how dare you? Girl, first of all, there's that whole other side too, where you have this really arrogant female side of things that they make us watch the shit on TV. You make me watch it on TV, so I'm supposed to believe that they're just as good, right? So why is that not, why is that not the case? If they're just as good, she should go out there and just jump right in and kick the ass. I'm telling you, there's literally nothing, there's no way that this doesn't benefit Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. Do you know that if she goes into she goes out there and does reasonably well and brings a bunch of bunch of press, even more press than she would have gotten and all that because she went over there and succeeded. Do you know that when she then goes to the WNBA and they're like, we're going to give you $76,000 for the next 4 years, she could just be like, shut your fucking mouth. You're going to pay me out the bing bing.
But WNBA isn't collecting money out the bing bing to be able to pay them. That's a problem. Because watching it overall sucks. So they don't have that kind of money to offer them.
Yeah, but once she has, if it really is all about legacy and just doing these great things and winning championships and all that, to bank at least $10 million in the bank for 2 years and then go make $76,000. If it's really about the love of the game, then you can absolutely do that. What would be stopping you? There's no way that this is bad other than she just goes and just gets smashed. Utterly smashed. And that whole great white hype thing that they love to put on sports figures, whether it's boxing or basketball, just absolutely gets exposed.
I mean, maybe
But
they're giving her like stock in the WNBA.
they're not. It would be out there. They can't, like in this day and age, they can't do that under the fucking radar shit like that.
Well, they can.
I mean, it would be. They're not though, and still, if I am to believe that we are equal, and she is as good as everybody says she is, then when given the opportunity to make $10 million over 2 years, plus have ownership, plus have jersey sales, over $76,000 a year for 4 years, I think you're an idiot. Take your women out of it, and we're just saying two equal people, or one. We're talking about equality here, and in contracts and money, and not like fairy tale prestige, and not like legacy and all these sort of superficial, in your head kind of things. We're talking about real nuts and bolts here, zeros and ones. I'm going to put multi-millions of dollars in your account over 2 years, which will extend even longer. Because, once you get ownership of the team and the team keeps going, Caitlin's going to bring a whole bunch of eyes to the big three. Like, it's going to benefit the big three just as much. So now you have ownership in this team. You make your multi tens of millions of dollars over that 2 years, and then you can go to the WNBA with a little bit more leverage than you had before. Plus, you're bringing all these eyes now to the WNBA because they were so impressed by how well you did in the big three. Like, this is 100% put up or shut up. Put your money where your mouth is. You keep talking that shit that you're just as good. You have the one opportunity that no woman has ever been given, and many women have said they wanted that opportunity, and said if they were given that opportunity, they'd be just as good. There's this famous thing of Brittany Griner, I believe, that the chick that happened to get kidnapped or whatever. She was held as a hostage over in whatever country for a couple of little while. I don't remember. North Korea. I don't remember. But she's a player. And she said she could beat DeMarcus Cousins. And DeMarcus Cousins is a guy that none of you really probably know. He's not like an A-list NBA guy. But he's in the NBA. Like, he was a starter in the NBA. And he had to sit here and sort of like he had to not be insulted by her insinuating and flat out saying she could beat him. He had to be diplomatic about it. She could say anything she wanted. He had to, I think he said, well, I think it's not quite a walk in a park over here, or something like that. That's what he said. But it was like the one of the coaches is asked, is asked, what he thought, and he said, well, if I found out that was going to happen, I would go take all of my money that I have in the bank and put it all on Cousins to win. Let's see.
confident in her abilities. I'm glad she's that confident in her abilities. But she's also a little delusional.
Look at Kevin Durant.
Confidence be cheap, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. It's not a walk in the park over here. He says you'd be no better than the third best post player on the men's team.
Look at her.
I'm just gonna use that to feel this. I mean, I'm better.
Look at this.
But,
I'm better.
And I know that kind of gets at him, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
That's a girl.
It's okay, little man, she said.
That's a girl.
Listen.
Front row though. I gotta be front row.
How money's on BG?
Of course there will.
I got cuz, so now. If there's no referee,
Listen.
I'm gonna go to the ATM and I'm gonna sell my house and I'm gonna put all my money on DeMarcus Cousins.
Who was that said that?
One of the coaches.
One of the coaches?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, it's just the arrogance. Like, her arrogance is not being called out here. Like, all of the NBA players, when they were asked the question, they learned how to be diplomatic, right? But you can see they're still not great at hiding their initial response, and all of them are like, like they get that wide-eyed sort of, yeah, you know what? I like that confidence, but you know.
Bit presumptuous.
Are you fucking kidding me? She's not that good. Have you ever, like, this is where you just have to, you have to have seen WNBA games. I've seen a WNBA game where she's in it. And she's not like flying from the fucking free throw line, double tomahawk and slamming down in the other girls' faces. And the one highlight they showed of hers, we know what she did? She laid it up. She's going to be smashed. It's... Wait, let's just look up his measurements real quick.
I mean, there's just that alone. Like, just...
DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins. What the fuck is going on? Oh. Yeah, he's only 6'10", with a 7'6" wingspan. Shut the fuck up. I mean, what the fuck are we even talking about here? He's 6'10", 270.
I mean, is it because
6'10", 270?
Not as good as the players around him, so
he's an NBA player.
She would have an advantage. I mean, does he look like the weak one of the group? Is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Is that where she gets
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 4. He played in the NBA for 14 years. Over that time, he averaged just under 20 points per game and 10 rebounds per game. No, that is a very good player.
So why would she choose him? Does she know him on a personal level?
She's just stupid.
Does he play her position? Like, there's something.
Brittany Griner. She's 6'8".
Oh my God. Wow.
She's 6'8", 6'9", and weighs 205 pounds.
Okay.
So she's about 2 inches smaller than him,
Yeah.
and 70 pounds smaller than him.
Right. No, I get that. Okay. So what
And
else?
he's a huge fucking beefcake.
What else? What is her score average per game? I'm sure it's not 20, whatever it was.
It's a lot harder to find than it is his, that's for sure.
That's funny.
24 career. She averages 17.7 points per game and 7 rebounds per game against girls.
Against girls, right. I mean, okay. So I'm just trying to get an idea of where she would, first of all, choose him. Do they play the same position?
No. I don't know.
That must be it.
No,
There's
she.
got to be a reason
There
she
was
chose him.
sure, whatever the
But
backstory
the
is.
stats are surprisingly, but then again, it's against women.
Surprisingly similar. They're not even close.
I mean, they're
3
a
points
lot
is a
closer than
huge.
I fucking thought.
Yeah, but she's playing against women.
Right, that's what I said.
Right. So
And then you look at it, and it's against.
she's like a dwarf among midgets.
Right, right.
Right. I mean, that's really all it is. I agree with that last statement. Get rid of the weight limit on heavyweights. Yeah, then we get to really see how good people are.
Well, that's
That or you.
dangerous.
Oh,
That's dangerous.
no. Then you just don't get to be that. I mean, it's not dangerous. Once you get to like huge like that, fighting's not. There's a reason why there's not a bunch of fighters that big. And the ones that have been that big did not fare well. Bigfoot Silva or shit like that. That dude got his shit kicked in. Hong Mang Choi. There was one guy, Semi Schilt. Semi Schilt was a big fucking amazing monster kickboxer. But it wasn't MMA. But Semi was something special. But you get Hong Man Choi and shit. These guys are getting beat by. Hong Man Choi got beat by Minima Man, who is like this, 5'8", some shit. Like, this shit's crazy. Anyway. I wouldn't want to upset her. No, she's a big, scary bitch, no doubt about it. She'd beat me in basketball. Even at my best in my 20s, she'd destroy me. She's bigger than me. However, she's slower than me. And she's definitely not nearly as athletic as I was. So, as tall as she was at 6'9", considering she can't jump high, her 6'9" is going to be 6'9" regardless. I would have been able to block her shots. Not every time or anything, but I still would have been able to block her shots. But but again, she would absolutely beat me. But I think again, we're talking about this idea. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. I have zero issue with women's sports. I hate to say it, but I think it's cute. Like, good for you. You're out there doing it. But I can't look at it any other way than that.
Oh, good for you. That's pretty.
I mean, that's what it is. You're great at what you do in your little world. That's great. When it comes to competing on the highest levels, you can't. So let's not keep pretending like you can. You can't. I am super duper okay with anybody that's trans out there, right? You can be however you want to be, live your life however you want to live. When it comes to sports, I think it's ridiculous to put used to be men in there with women, but that's a different argument. But as far as a trans person goes, I will call you her. I will use all your pronouns. I have zero issue with it. I will live my life like you're a woman. I won't even call you a used to be guy. I'll say you're a woman. Sure, fine. I don't think that's necessarily right. I think we should acknowledge the fact that that's not a woman. There should be another term for that, whatever that is.
See, that's where the argument and the tension. I am a woman.
Right, but see, that's what I'm going to say. My whole thing is, I'm not going to, because you need to be a woman, believe that you could ever get pregnant. So, just like I don't believe.
Not born with a uterus.
Right, but in that same vein, I'm not going to. What you do sports-wise, it's cute. It's not. I'm not going to pretend like you're great at sports because you can be other women that aren't great at sports. It's the period argument, right? I am 100% sympathetic towards your periods. I think it sounds like a horrible experience. in my lifetime, I've dealt with numerous chicks that get their periods, and surprise, surprise, they all suck. Not one of them was like happy-go-lucky and was, oh man, she's on her period. Look how happy and helpful and wonderful she's being to everyone. Never happened. But I can totally get it. I understand it. It sounds awful. Bloody pads, bloody tampons, cramps, hormones, all that shit, right? No doubt about it. Do I think you can do your job just as well when you're in that week? I think some of you can do your job 98, 95% as well as you do it the rest of the time. Otherwise, what would your period be? It's obviously a compromised spot. If you're saying that you do your job just as well when you're on or off your period, that's not saying very good things about you. You shouldn't do your job as well when you're on your period. You shouldn't. It's a horrible thing. Whatever. It's so considering that I am so compassionate, I am so understanding of the plight that is the period. I get it. I don't think you guys should be.
The plight of the period.
It is an awful. It's awful. It's awful.
Y'all have no idea how awful it actually is.
It's awful from my standpoint, so I can't imagine how awful it is from you. Looking down and being like, holy shit, there's a bunch of mess coming out of me. That's got to be a weird fucking feeling. Especially.
You feel like your insides are all twisted and
Yeah, no, it sounds horrible. So having that be the case, like, no, you can't be fucking patrol cops. Fuck no. Think you should be out there given the ability to shoot people, make that decision to shoot somebody when you're in that fucking state. Fuck you. I get it. Right. Fuck that. No goddamn way. But you can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and pretend like, you can't sit there and go, well, I want some sympathy because I'm on my period. No, I'm not going to cook dinner. No, I'm not going to have sex. No, I'm not going to fucking do all the things I normally would do. I'm on my period. Cool. I understand. You're right. You shouldn't have to do those things. Did you know that you're kind of a bitch when you're on your period? How dare you? Oh my God. You can't say that. You can't. What? I just told you, like, I get it. No, you can't say that. I'm not compromised. I'm nothing wrong with me. I can do my job just as blah, blah, blah. Like, you can't have it both ways. And you can't say that women are just as good as men in sports. And then Caitlin Clark doesn't take the challenge. You can't say that women are just as good as men in sports and then not be held to the same fucking critical standards that men are held to. If the NBA was the WNBA, if they were like, all right, no more dunking. No more dunking. You're required to hit like at least 5 air balls per game. We want somebody on the ground falling down, at least every 2-3 times up and down the court. But more than that, a lot more than that, actually. Like, we really want it to be slow-paced. We don't want to be able to show any sort of replays after the fact. We're gonna tone this way down. Just, like how so women can be firemen and shit like that. We make the test easier so women can do it. Well, we're gonna make the NBA not as good so women can feel like they're playing at the same level. Sounds good to you guys? I mean, I think because our society is so rigid, we live in this place like, are you telling me there's not enough trans people out there that trans can have their own leagues? Are we serious? No, a used to be guy shouldn't be allowed to compete against females. Are you fucking kidding me?
And no, I also feel it's equally dangerous, especially those that are on the hormone therapy. It is dangerous for them to compete against the men that are not on estrogen therapy. It's making their bones weaker. It's affecting them physically. So now they're not as much of a force to compete against the men. There needs to be a trans league.
I don't. There is no women trying to be men. You know, that doesn't happen because.
No, I'm saying the men that are on estrogen can't compete against other men that are not on estrogen.
Oh, absolutely not.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Their bodies are compromised because of the hormone therapy.
Right. The estrogen
Bone
makes your
density
bones
and
way harder.
all
Right.
that type of shit.
Right. We were gonna get there. She just jumped the gun a bit. But yeah,
Be a
that's
trans league.
there absolutely needs to be. Why wouldn't there be? And you're telling me people wouldn't watch that shit? Probably at first to see but then they'd realize, holy shit, pretty good.
Athletes are good.
Well, I mean, especially if there are a bunch of them used to be guys. Like they're gonna be a lot better than the WNBA, that's for sure. But this notion that like we're allowing used to be guys to compete against women, who protects the women? It seems like there's a hell of a lot more real women than wannabe women. So why do the real women get compromised to placate the wannabe women? And because we live in a society where we don't say, look, you're not a woman, you're a woman. You know? Like it's a new category. A guy that just doesn't feel right, we get it. I totally support you. You don't feel right in your skin. That sounds like hell to me. I really feel bad for you. You know, pre-op, post-op, whatever. Welcome to womanhood. Why can't that be a thing? Why are we saying that that's a woman? That's not a fucking woman. That's so insulting to women. Like, can you imagine if women just decided like, well, all I got to do is take some fucking, get some facial hair going, and now I'm a man. Treat me like a man. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? You better not go to the bar acting like you're some tough dude. You're gonna get your shit knocked out. What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, it's just such a crazy fucking world we live in, right? I am so okay with trans everything. I'm not, you know, I think trans people reading books to little kids is a great thing. It teaches those kids that, hey, these aren't monsters. They're just normal people. They can read books like anybody else's. And if you think kids getting a book read to them by trans makes them trans, then you should start doctors reading the kids books or reading books to kids program. And then we'll just get a whole bunch of doctors. All it takes is just
wearing their coats and
right.
stethoscopes.
Having you wouldn't even need real doctors, right? You could just have fake doctors come in and be like, yes, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor of doctorhood. I have my doctor in doctor tree. And the kids would be like, really? I'm going to be a doctor now. Wait, not yet. Read the book first. Depends on how you read that book. It's fucking stupid, man. You know, women that want to live their lives as guys, they should be like, you know, I'd say wise, but that's already a word. So, well, guys, woo guys, whoa guys, I don't know. Like, it's stupid. And if you're somebody stupid about the bathrooms, like tell me the story of the guy dressing up like a woman so he can go into the bathroom and mess with little girls. Tell me that story that existed prior to it being told to be something you care about. You ever hear about that story?
No.
Do you ever just like the whole the Boy Scout story? Like, I know everybody sort of says that story, but do you actually know of any Boy Scout stories? Nope. Everybody that I ever knew that had Boy Scouts fucking loved it. Had great scout leaders and shit like that. I always wanted to do Boy Scouts. My mom wouldn't let me do it because she was scared of the whole pedo thing. But you never heard of it. Yet, you know, for the last few years they've been putting it on TV that if you were hurt by the church and blah blah, or if you were hurt by the Boy Scouts. Yet, how many of you have heard about the church stories? I never heard about the Boy Scout story, but I heard a lot of stories about the church. And yet, that shit's just allowed to exist. You guys give your money. There have been Boy Scouts predators. Yeah, sure there have. I'm sure as far as the Boy Scouts go, there are about as many predator stories as there are in any other job, right? I'm sure there's always going to be a few bad apples in the bunch. When you compare it to the church has endless stories like that. And yet everybody that wants to say something about the Boy Scouts sure does get quiet when you bring up the church. You know? And when you really want to get into it, we start talking about CPS and all, 86% of the missing children cases are associated with CPS in some way or another. Like, that starts to get pretty fucking crazy, don't you think? But that's, we don't want to talk about those things. Like that, I guess I just, not believing in God, not just believing it and requiring some sort of reason to believe it, means it doesn't have the effect on me that it does you. Where I just believe all the other shit because, well, I already believe this part of it, so I might as well believe all the rest of it too. That part doesn't work on me. And I just, when you are even slightly intelligent and you just go, okay, so you're telling me God is everywhere at all times. Everything's God's plan, blah, blah, blah. So God has like this image, even as close as you can get to the child being violated by the clergy. Literally, God is like right there, sees the blood, hears the screams, the cries. I'm sure that kid's praying, God, please help me, blah, 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 blah. And yet that disgusting priest just goes to town and does, horrible fucking shit. And then just, that shit just keeps happening. That, there are literally children that have gone missing that they're just being held captive. I mean, it's these are these no. These are the things where you just, what the fuck? These are the things where you have to wonder, like, what's happening that allows this bullshit to continue when all of us supposedly hate it. These are those things where you're just not asking the right questions or allowing things to be answered. Like the fact that we live in this society where so many children go missing and really I can't even go down. The fact that we live in a society where there is a genocide happening right now. The perpetrators of the genocide also happen to control the Hollywood, the news, East Coast, West Coast Hollywood. They control what they show us on TV, and they do nothing but brag about how fucking awesome they are. For how efficiently they're killing these people. It's the craziest. Like I just what I wouldn't give to be dropped into a chat room, because if I was in a room with them, they'd get violent. But into some sort of situation where they were allowed to come here and answer for what's going on. Tell me why it's okay. Tell me why I should be okay with genocide. Never spoke to me. God saying angels are demons, but maybe I'm irrelevant or it's fairy tales. It's one or the other, man. Definitely one or the other. But it's you hear the rules and shit that I gotta give my life over to. How do you even do that? That's such a stupid story. I challenge anybody to say, look, I'm not going to go to work anymore. I'm not going to cook myself food anymore. I'm just going to sit around and pray all day. And hopefully all my rent gets paid and my, food just shows up. I'm not going to put it out on the internet or anything because I don't want that to interfere. I'm just going to pray. Because the thing is, if you did do that and people found out, because they don't want the delusion to be exposed, they'll start showing up and bringing you food and shit. And I'm actually surprised more people don't do it, where they put it out there and say, I'm praying. I spend, they lie or whatever and say, I spend all this time of my day praying for God to this, that. I can't afford to work. I really need somebody to help me with my rent. So I'm going to just pray that God comes through. Somebody would do it. What's your thoughts on Israel attacking Syria? Duh. What do you think my thoughts are? This is what I've been telling you they were going to do. I keep telling you guys this shit. It's Syria, it's Lebanon, and it's Iran. It's not about free Palestine because that's yesterday's story. How many times you guys heard me say that shit? It's not free Palestine. It's end the Jayism. It's not just Israel. Israel is just an idea. It's just a place. It's just this imaginary borders that we're told that now this land is called this. But that's not real. And that's not the fuel of that fire. It's the Jayism that's the fuel. They're disgusting. It's just disgusting. It really is. It's like, I've been doing this for a really long time. And asking, begging, hey, if I'm wrong, why don't one of you come tell me what I'm wrong about? And they never do. They'll never come in here and justify, the whole belief structure. The supremacy idea, the Semitism, the supremacy, the demanding, the policy or predisposition to show them favor. It's look at what's happening. Any of them, please, somebody come tell me how Samantha Wool, how she was found dead around 6:30 a.m. and within hours had a full-on funeral that over 1,000 people attended and was buried within hours of being found dead. Tell me how that works. Like, it's so stupid. Do you like Putin? God damn it. Well, you can't say it's tit for tat for every in the Holy Lands. The Holy Lands. Right there. Just think about how stupid that phrase is. The Holy Lands. All this big giant earth that we live on, and this one area where they come from and they say is their shit, that's the Holy Land. Get the fuck out of here. Could the average commentator even tell you who was there before Palestine? No. And when they say free Palestine, when the fuck are they even talking about? God chosen, yeah, right, God of the underworld, maybe. I mean, no, there is none of that shit. They're the ones who give you that narrative. There is no God. That is not a real thing. Right? It's a fake concept. It's Big Brother before there was Big Brother. It's all it is. It's their way of tricking the goyim into believing that they're always watching. And, you should always tell on everybody. Tell on your neighbors for doing everything. And then when the powers that be come down on you, you go, how did you know? And they go, wow, we have connections that you don't know. God is always watching. Then how the fuck are we here? Why would you believe that? Why would you believe that it's only because of Jesus? Realizing that narrative goes so far before Jesus, and like that whole, you going Adam and Eve, is that what you're talking about? Like, it's just stupid. And the funny thing is so many of you, like, you believe in science and religion. Because you all believe that the Hubble's out there taking pictures and the James Webb Space Telescope's out there, right? You believe in the Big Bang. You believe in solar system, and you definitely believe you live on a round ball flying through space. You don't think, you don't listen to your Bible for that thing. Control everyone's that about power. Jesus, alien hybrid. Nah, man. Just fake story. It's just a fake story. There was no goddamn Jesus. All that shit's just fake nonsense. And the thing about, like, Christians always say things like, the Bible's the most historically accurate, blah, blah. They didn't even talk about that shit. The earliest known biblical writings date back to supposedly 70 AD, but those weren't found until 1946. Those are the Dead Sea Scrolls that they happened to find just outside of Israel a couple of years before Israel was supposedly was founded. And the whole Dead Sea Scrolls is not Christian. It's about the Jays. It's about their bullshit. You just think it's about Christianity because that's what they've told you. Prior to the findings in 1946, the earliest known writings were from like the 900s. I forgot what they're called, but nobody was talking about that shit. Prior to the 40s, when that shit was sort of integrated and people talk about it, they make it sound like it was blah blah. No, there's no writings. Nobody's talking about that shit for 900 years. It's just a game of telephone or some shit. Like, it's all just, oh no, it's actually just an oral tradition. Alien insemination, yeah, that's gross. Immaculate conception, it's all just fake. It's just fake. Aliens in Atlantis, and again, so much of it is just, you just don't know. Once you start understanding the whole Tartaria side of things and realizing that there's this whole, like, well-documented history that seemingly, like, because we've all done it. You go to, any of you go to your major city downtown, find one of the oldest churches you can find. Right in the middle of all these giant skyscrapers, you're going to find this amazingly crazy, like detailed church, huge stone, marble, blah, 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 blah. Been there since the 1600s or 50, you look at it and you just go, how the fuck did they build this? It's still here. How the fuck did they build this? And that's always what everybody's first thought is. Whenever you go to like any of the like government buildings where like, the Capitol building, any of the Capitol buildings that look the same in every state. And you go inside there and you walk in and you look up and you look at the big dome that exists because they all have the same design, the big dome, and then it goes off in the wings and whatnot. But it's always the same huge, big dome, and you just look. Your first thought is always, how the fuck did they build this? 1700s, my ass. And then you just go, oh well, 1800, and then if you look, you'll find the fire story. This building was here beforehand, but then it burnt down, and then they had a contest, and a random guy from the contest won the contest, and he happened to design the exact same building that's everywhere else. Like, it's all just stupid. It's all just stupid. Let's see, are we even... Oh, look, we've got shit talkers. Tartaria, yep, it's crazy. It's not like it's on maps or anything. There may have been a Jesus, but he definitely isn't God's son. Kind of hard to be a son if you don't exist. Right, it's all stupid. There's been plenty of people called Jesus, and again, it's Yahweh. Like, it's all just stupid. It's all just such stupid chat GPT nonsense. If you look at it from that perspective, if you look at the idea that there's the reset. The resets happen every time we sort of figure it out. Once we figure out that we're all just in this weird reality TV show for this much more advanced version of us, and we start doing things we start acting not as we normally would. They like us being normal and killing each other and our dumb government bullshit, and it's a reality show. As soon as we figure it out, we unify, start working together to see what's on the outside. They have to reset it. And when they reset things, the group that's the chosen group that's in charge, whatever technology that they're allowed to have, one of it is the chat GPT bullshit. Where they you program in the basic parameters of what you want each historical thing to be, and the narrative gets written by the chat GPT program that we know exists now. We act like, oh, that's new technology. They've had it forever. We just didn't have it. They did. And so the narrative that gets written, it's because they're lazy as shit. They don't go super detailed in the parameters, and you keep getting a bunch of the same narratives with the same people, they're just polymaths. The Ben Franklins who are just here, there, everywhere, doing this, doing that, getting struck by lightning, all this other shit. Ben Franklin, but you get the same characters, or you get the same names, John this, John that, John. Just laziness. It doesn't matter because we're not smart enough to catch on until now. But anybody that tries to tell, like, the one thing you'll notice about truthers is that they're always encouraging you to prove it wrong. Go look it up. It's the official believers that always want you to stop talking. Stop talking. Stop saying these things. Stop talking about these. Why would anybody why would anybody go to a feed and try to get people to stop talking about what they're talking about instead of just going on to a different feed? It's just such stupid nonsense that we're just constantly fed this bullshit. And, this is the best they're ever going to do. This is all they can do. They can't say anything else. What could they possibly say? How could anybody possibly deny this other than to ridicule those who do talk about it, because they can't say anything else? The New Jersey drones are operated by American. The New Jersey drones and all the other drones, they've been hiding technology in front of our faces for a long time, telling us it's UFOs and then telling us we're not allowed to talk about it. Hey, we're going to make movies about it and shit, but don't you guys think it's real? Don't talk about it. Okay, just don't talk about it. But keep believing in your religion. But hey, look at those UFOs. Look at those UFOs. Now don't talk about it. Don't you talk about it. Okay, talk about it. Talk about it. But then you're going to deny it. We can neither confirm nor deny that the blah blah. Shut the fuck up. Like it's all the same bullshit. So they put it out there, they shove it in our faces, and they use all this technology that they've had. You know the airships that existed long before planes. Yeah. Funny how so many of the UFO sightings are basically airships. You know, I mean, it's just it's really stupid, and it's funny because it takes us catching up to like catch on. You know, once you realize like drone technology is what it is today. Well, how they've had drones forever. If we have it and it's as good as it is now, they've had it for 50 years. They told us about stealth technology in 89, and they had it at least in the 40s and some say the 30s. But they didn't tell us until 89 because that's just how that shit works. You know, we're being we're being manipulated on every level, and that's how it always is. Because as long as we're manipulated into believing in this, that, and the other, all these different sources of fear propaganda, we're not, and we're told we're not allowed to talk about this one group of people who happens to be in charge of everything and happens to pull all the string and happens to tell us that we're not allowed to talk about them. Like, that's all that matters. You know, these people are committing genocide right now and telling us not to talk about it while they brag about it on TV. And then call themselves the victims. I saw one of those international fellowships of the C's and the J's, like one of their infomercial things, where they go and they interview these women who are the forgotten J's of the Soviet Union. Oh, and they live in this, the one, I ate a half a carrot today and another half of a carrot yesterday. Oh, and they do all these fake crying. The funny thing is, if you're eating half of a carrot every day, how are you fat? Seems weird, right? Seems weird that you're not like extremely emaciated because you eat a half a carrot every day. Hey, why don't you sell those little gold earrings you have in? I bet you could get some money for those. Oh, Smashing Pumpkins video for Tonight springs to mind. Let's see. Diabetes from all the sugar. From all the sugar, because like who even knows what that is anymore? The food that we eat is so goddamn toxic, and it's like, again, who do you think controls that? I love how the Trump supporters were all like, they think that Biden controls the grocery prices. Like the president of the United States sits there and balances, you know, how much is broccoli? $2.49, make it $3.49. And then Trump's gonna come in and say, hey, take that broccoli back down to $2.49. Like people think the president is sitting in his office balancing a budget and shit like that. Like, it's just a figurehead, you dumbass. It's just a distraction. As soon as the president gets elected and makes that trip over to Israel, where he puts on the goofy little hat and starts kissing on the wall, You tell me who's in charge. Let's see. And it governs better than trust and silencing people should tell you about the transgender and the way the government works overtime in protecting them. What? What does that even mean? The government works overtime protecting the transgenders? You must be a white guy. I mean, it's like the stupidity people have with that. The transgender thing, the whole gay pride thing, it's all just this fantastic distraction. It's all about, why do you think Pride Month is in June? Because the latest Passover usually is right at the end of May. So while we're distracted, while they during Passover just love to kill as many fucking people as they can, we then, whatever stories finally filter through, they totally get distracted by people's homophobia. Trump, Harris, Biden, yeah, sure he is. Because things were so great from 2016 to 2020. Never mind that Trump lost the first election by 2.7 million votes. And the swamp put him in anyway. Never mind that. Never mind that he was Epstein's best buddy and then covered up the death. Never mind that the Trump organization locked us down for fake ass COVID and cost so many people their businesses and their livelihoods while giving a lot of people money that they then have to pay back. Never mind all that stuff. Everything was so good back then. The Me Too stuff and all the Black Lives Matter, because, unarmed black people were getting killed like crazy under Trump administration. And it's just going to get worse. Because Trump's going to, make it impossible for cops to be in trouble for that shit. But hey, that's okay. Better than the past 4 years. How? What's been bad here? No foreign wars. Duh. Stupid shit. We are not being invaded by South Americans. Like, nothing was bad. Nobody was complaining about shit. It's actually been one of the most mild times in a long time. People were doing well, other than the prices of shit continuing to go up, but that has nothing to do with I keep wondering, how long do you think it's going to be that the gas and food prices don't get cut in half before the Trump people start going, hey, well, it's coming. He's going to change it soon. Like, how long do you think they're going to play that game? Like, it's just, the thing it's so stupid to me is like, to think that Trump is anything other than a figurehead, you're stupid. Trump, Obama, Harris, whatever, they're just actors playing the role they're supposed to play and reading the lines they're supposed to read. If you think it's anything other than a fucking play, you're just being fooled. We legit elected a criminal. Oh, he's a piece of shit. He's an absolute piece of shit. And still became the president. And killing it. Yeah. My gas has been $5 a gallon, and South America is invading us. South America is invading us, says the insecure white guy. Insecure white guys are hilarious. They just don't think. It's just so stupid. Why do you think the prices of so much food that comes in from the South has gone up? Like, they never want to talk about the fact that Trump ran saying that Mexico is going to build the wall, pay for it, and like it. And then after the fact, it was like, okay, well, United States tax dollars are going to pay for it. And then we're going to add a bunch of tariffs that don't actually benefit the United States tax dollars or taxpayers. And then they're going to end up paying more for the product because the people supplying the goods aren't going to lower the prices They're not going to eat the cost of those extra tariffs. They're going to raise the prices so that their profits are still the same. That's how big business works. So we got hit on the front and the back end. But you guys don't like talking about it because for some reason you think all of the other dummies are just, Israeli puppet trolls and Illuminati puppet trolls, whatever. But somehow Trump is not. The guy that had a TV show for 12 years, the guy that is one of the worst businessmen of all time. He was a terrible businessman. But he's like all those buildings and shit, they're not actually his. They just use his name. They rent his name. There was this documentary made about Trump in Atlantic City and how he went in there, paid himself $40 million and then laid everyone off and bankrupted the casino and all that shit. But it wasn't allowed to be shown prior to the Clinton election because there wasn't a similar, because, if you show this thing, each person has to have equal amount of coverage on for some stupid reason. So if you were to show this documentary, you would have to then show a Hillary one at the same length and some other bullshit. Like it's really dumb. They couldn't even tell you how much their own average meal costs at their favorite restaurant, never mind national produce GDP. Yeah, it's just stupid. People are stupid. The stupidity that runs this show. Like, again, you look at these people and they go, Obama was terrible and Biden is terrible and Clinton was terrible and Bush was terrible and all of these other people were terrible. But the guy that lost the election by 2.7 million votes and was put in anyway, being the third time that happened in modern history, the first two times being with George Bush Jr., yeah, he's not one of them. Like, it's just so stupid. It's just, the next 4 years are just terrifying. And they're going to end just before the 100-year anniversary of the Depression. And I just can't help but notice the timing on that one. But I think they did this, they had to do it this way. I think they had to bring Trump in 2016 because we were revolted. Me Too was getting really strong and all of the pedo stuff was getting exposed. All of the Epstein stuff was getting exposed. You started to see all this crazy Hollywood shit getting exposed. And the people were revolting, and it was happening all over the world. And they needed to give us something. They couldn't have brought in Biden or Hillary. They couldn't have let that happen because that Democratic narrative is one of fight back, sort of. So they had to bring Trump in 4 years early. I think they actually wanted to bring him in 2020 through 2028. But they had to bring him in early to throw everything off because, the Obama presidency had a negative effect. The people were like, fuck this, fuck that. But you're gonna, I'm gonna sit here and argue with people who, again, they only believe the narrative when it's Trump. Otherwise, they see things the same way. And I just think that's so fucking stupid. But that's your typical Christian. You've been programmed to be that way since, a very young age. If you're watching, don't forget to like, share, and sub. But, you've been programmed to Christians think every other religion is just fucking stupid. The Quran, the Quran is terrible. Look at all the stuff it says, and it's terrible. It's terrible. And it's stupid. How can anybody believe that stupid stuff? But their thing is real. And the people that believe in the Quran, it's the same thing back. They think theirs is fucking real and everybody else's is stupid. But that's the epitome of Trump support. They don't know his policies. They don't, they know nothing about anything he's planning on doing. They're definitely not going to have a woman of color as their president. And that's they switched. They switched from Biden to the woman of color just because they already know. They already know we're not going to vote for a woman. And they already know that Obama screwed up the person of color thing for a while because that made so many white people so mad. And the last thing they wanted was another 2016 where, Hillary won by 2.7 million votes and was when they were like, well, no, you didn't win. He did. The Electoral College is somehow speaking up this time. Is going to override the popular decision for the first time since George Bush Jr. We're just going to override that and no, he's in. Hillary was like, all right, see ya. She didn't make a big deal out of it. Trump lost in 2020 and still made a bigger deal out of it than Hillary, who won. Why? Because it's all just a dumb shit show. And if you fall for any side of it, you're stupid. Like, it's so irritating. All the people that are Trump supporters, he would never like you. He would never hang out with you. He would never give you any respect. He thinks you're a dumb hillbilly piece of shit. Are you at his country club? No, he doesn't like you. And the whole lesser evil, it's not true. That's the thing. They tell you, I'm going to smack you in the face with the left hand or the right hand. And you think you're clever because you're like, oh, well, what hand are you? And they say, well, I'm right-handed. And you go, okay, I'll pick the left hand because you're probably weaker. It's the lesser of two evils. I bet you can't smack as hard with your left hand as you can with your right hand. I outsmarted you. Go ahead, smack me. Instead of you saying, hey, I'm not getting smacked by either side, you pieces of shit. I'm not picking a side. What the fuck, are you crazy? Give me something better than these two clowns. I mean, if Trump was actually, like, if there was somewhere to give Trump credit, I would. If he didn't look like a complete dumbass against both Biden and Kamala in the two debates that we saw him in. Remember, he wanted to do 3, called Kamala, scared because she's just a woman, blah, 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 blah. And she's scared of him. And she was like, no, I just need 1 debate. And he was like, yeah, see, she only wants 1. And she was like, no, I just need 1. But we can do it, whatever. And then they did the debate. And afterward, they asked Trump, so when do you want to do the next one? And he was like, oh, we're not going to do any more. And she was like, no, let's do 2 more. You wanted to do 3. But then that whole story just got squashed because they don't want you guys realizing how stupid that guy is. He's so terrible. He's just so terrible. The terrible job he did acting when he pretended to get shot. I mean, it's all just so stupid. Trump's a good speaker. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. He's so terrible. He's so stupid. They ask him, Mr. Trump, what are you going to do about the fentanyl problem? Biden. No, Mr. Trump, what are you going to do about the fentanyl problem? Biden. Mr. Trump, though, what are you going to do about the fentanyl problem? Biden. He's just stupid. Like, it's just such a joke. I mean, again, it's like, other than he's a pretty openly racist, sexist, homophobic douchebag, like so many white guys wish they could be, what is it that appeals to anyone? I don't understand it. He's gross. Always doing that shit like a weird meth head. He talks and then he says, every time, not every time, but a lot of times when he stops talking, he does that. It's so fucking weird and nobody talks about it. I'm surprised nobody talks about him being gay because he's super effeminate. When he really gets going and his hands start swaying all around and he starts he looks like an old meth hag. And I'm surprised nobody ever talks about it. And I'm not knocking gay people. I'm just saying he has mannerisms of a gay guy. It's the wildest shit. So weird. And you guys are, yeah, that sounds good. But you're normal. I love how everybody makes a big deal about Biden smelling that girl's hair. Like, you don't know what the fuck he smelled. You don't know if he smelled like, he smelled something that reminded him of his daughter when she was little and it just took him back for a second. You don't know if he like, if he smelled something stinky and he was like, oh, what the fuck? You don't know anything about it, but somehow that makes him super pedo creepy Biden. Yet, your buddy Trump being best buddies with Epstein for many years, Epstein, Trump, and Stephanopoulos were known as the Three Amigos or the Three Musketeers, I never remember, in the New York nightlife scene for many, many years. They used to be seen almost every night together partying. And then, when Epstein died, it was the Trump administration that covered that shit up. The Trump administration that found all the tapes in every one of the residences that were outfitted with the top Israeli security. The whole place was rigged with cameras and microphones, and then it had the command center hidden inside the house, and inside the command center there was a safe, and inside the safe there were flash drives and videotapes and DVDs with the name of the famous person, the name of the victim, and how old they were. And they found all of those in multiple different residences. They found those safes full of all that incriminating evidence, and it was the Trump administration that made that shit disappear. Epstein is a high-ranking Israeli agent. Just like, but see, Epstein is they have you tricked. Ghislaine was the highest ranking one. She was the handler. Epstein was the whatever you want to call it. Was the puppet, I guess, I don't know, but Ghislaine was the handler. She comes from the high-ranking Israeli military Maxwell family. Robert Maxwell was supposedly a British socialite, a British mogul, media mogul. Somehow bought up all the newspapers and was this huge media mogul until he died and his $500 million fortune just disappeared. Side note, Epstein was said to be worth about $500 million. But when British citizen and British media mogul Robert Maxwell had disgraced himself and gotten in a whole bunch of trouble and then was found dead, he was, for some strange reason, given the highest ranking military funeral an Israeli soldier can be given, a prime minister. He had 6 prime ministers, previous prime ministers, all at his funeral, speaking on his behalf and saying things like, the world, we cannot say how much this man has given to Israel or how much this man has done to Israel. We cannot say it out loud, shit like that. Why would just a British citizen with Yugoslavian heritage be given a high-ranking Israeli? By the way, the guy had like 4 or 5 different aliases that he had growing up. His name wasn't Robert Maxwell. That was just one of them. Like so many people, because his whole family was killed in the camps. So there's no way to go ahead and check. You just got to believe the narrative that you're given. $500 million. And then Epstein's $500 million disappeared as well. You know, the smoking gun in that nobody talks about is that William Barr, Attorney General William Barr, should have recused himself. Because it's Attorney General William Barr's father that gave Epstein his first job out of college. He didn't have the credits, but instead, he was given the professor job at the prestigious Dalton Academy, where he was a teacher for 2 years and got in a bunch of trouble. But his last act before going out into the private sector and making $1 gazillion, quitting the headmaster job at the Dalton Academy, was to give Epstein that position, and then he quit. And that's Attorney General William Barr's father. So that means Attorney General William Barr probably had a pretty good relationship with Epstein his entire life. So for him to be the end all be all deciding factor on whether there was a further investigation, and claiming he saw some videotapes that nobody else got to see, that just doesn't, that's something that you should all be upset about. All right? All the people on here still talking shit. If you talk shit and you're not concerned with the whole Epstein narrative, like Epstein is nothing. We wouldn't know about Epstein if they didn't want us to know about Epstein. That's the thing you have to understand. Once you understand it from that perspective, then you look at it deeper. Why did they want us to know about Epstein? Why did they want us to think this way and then think he was dead? It was so we didn't keep asking the questions. And everything associated with him always gets shut down, like Prince Andrew. You know, Virginia Giuffre, the only one of the girls, only one, none of the other girls, came out and was like, hey, I want to make some money off this shit. Nobody else did, but Virginia Giuffre said, I'm not gonna shut this down. I'm gonna take this to the end. There's no way they're gonna silence me. 16 million pounds later, she was like, all right, I'm done. A week later, Russia started its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine because we were asking, where are those Epstein tapes? Where are those Epstein tapes? They try everything they can to keep us from asking those questions. Johnny Depp bullshit trial. Who gives a fuck about that shit? Let's see. Bill Barr is no longer associated. I don't even know what the fuck people are saying. Yeah, everything I'm saying isn't true. Don't listen to me. I don't know what you're talking about. You guys need to pay attention to what you're told to pay attention to. You gotta, Did you guys know that the unprovoked invasion of Ukraine had a YouTube or had a Wikipedia page the day before the unprovoked invasion took place? Yeah. Just like how October 7th, 2023, the Israel-Hamas war had a Wikipedia page 8 minutes before the supposed attack. Interesting how that works. There are so many stories out there. Like it's funny when you believe what you're told, right? Because a lot of people don't think that they give us entirely fake stories just to make us think certain things. There's a guy called Hai Hai Shalain Hashaulain, who was supposedly the number one thorn in the side for the Israeli government system when it came to masks and vaccines, and he was the big anti-vax, anti this that person, blah blah blah. Supposedly arrested at a anti-mask rally, taken to the jail, where 2 days later he was taken to the hospital with COVID, super COVID apparently, because 8 days later he was dead. Didn't have any COVID or anything before he was taken to prison or whatever. The whole story is like really like this narrative where he comes out and says, the police poisoned me, blah, 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 all this shit. And then he's dead. And afterward, nobody's nobody's demanding investigations. None of the, this is the number one guy and nobody's talking about him. He has no Facebook page. He has no previous footprint on social media, but he's the number one guy. Well, like they just make up stories. It's all just bullshit. The Hashaulain guy looked just like the old Will Bowman pictures I used to get. Same bullshit. They just make up stories and they tell us shit, and what choice do you have? You know, they claim around 1,100 people were killed in Israel on October 7th. And they make it sound like it was Israelis, but they never say that. They never say around 1,100 Israelis were killed. They say around 1,100 people were killed in Israel. Well, that Wikipedia page, within a half hour of existing, was already saying that that Israel killed 1,500 Hamas almost immediately inside Israel. So they're not necessarily lying, but they're not telling the truth. But you don't know the difference. You don't know the lengths that they'll go to lie to you. You know, I just think people are foolish. You know, you don't think that the system is corrupt as fuck. Well, you do when it works for your argument. But the Samantha Wool story is one of the greatest, like, sort of bullshit narratives that I think we've been given. She on October 21st here in Detroit, this J community leader was supposedly found in her front yard at around 6:30 a.m. with multiple stab wounds, like she had been in a fight. You know, with usually with somebody that kind of attack is personal. So like a lover. Nothing was stolen from her house, nothing like that. Yet they tried to arrest this black guy that was 3/4 of a mile away. There's a whole bunch of bullshit behind the whole story, and it's all bullshit. And they ended up giving this guy, they tried to catch him with every hate crime, murder, this, that, and the other, but they couldn't actually pin it on him. So what they gave him was 18 months to 25 years for lying to police. Like, talk about a manufactured bullshit sentence to be able to keep somebody silent so nobody can interview him and ask him questions and shit. 18 months to 25 years. Do you know how nuts that is? What kind of psychological torture is that? You don't know whether you're at any point. They could just keep keeping you there. But that's not the most fucked up part. The most fucked up part is that this happened at October 21st, 2023. She was found around 6:30 a.m. October 22nd, morning edition newspapers talk about how the funeral that over 1,000 people attended yesterday was extremely beautiful. Meaning, at some point during the day, 1,000 people, like, how long would it take to even call 1,000 people and tell them, you know, what, or just tell all, like, how do you get, what about the family members, and how do you arrange a funeral that 1,000 people can attend within a few hours? It would have to be a few hours of the person dying, and you have to dig, like, it just doesn't make any sense. And yet you're supposed to believe it. If somebody can tell me how that one works, I would love to hear it. That's the one story I really want to crack open right now. How do you do that? How do you have a funeral for someone the day they're killed? Anyway, I'm done. You guys have a great day. Go get your free download. www.bilderberg.group.com. The link is in the description, along with a link to the Facebook page where, if I'm not live here, I'll be live there. So come check it out. It's all free. All free to download. All we ask is that you share it with people. So everybody have a great day. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Quick, kill yourself.